जय जय सुरनायक जन सुखदायक प्रणत पाल भगवंता गोद्विज हितकारी जय सुरारी सिंधु सुता प्रिय कंता पालन सुर धरनी अद्भुत करनी मरम न जानई कोई जो सहज कृपाला दीन दयाला करऊ अनुग्रह सोई करऊ अनुग्रह सोई जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी बिरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निसी बासर ध्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा सृष्टि उपाई त्रिविध बनाई संग सहाय न दूजा सो करऊ अघारी चिंत हमारी जानिय भगति न पूजा भव भय भंजन मुनि मनरंजन गंजन विपति बरूथा मन बच क्रम बानी छाड़ी सयानी सरन सकल सुर जूथा सरन सकल सुर जूथा सारद श्रुति शेषा ऋषय अशेषा जा कहूँ कोई न जाना जेहि दीन पियारे वेद पुकारे द्रवहु सो श्री भगवाना भव बारिधि मंदर सब विधि सुंदर गुण मंदिर सुख पुंजा मुनि सिद्ध सकल सुर परम भयातुर नमत नाथ पद गंजा नमत नाथ पद गंजा जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी बिरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निसी बासर ध्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा।
Like in a previous satsang, it said that you should always keep the intention to either find God or to remain with Him once you found Him. and I've noticed that even when I'm doing the prayer, that intention isn't always there. It's like I'm just doing it. It's like when you have an intention to go somewhere, you're going, but you're not, every moment you're not intending to reach there. Something, it's just
It's happening mechanically.
mechanically, and it's not just that it's dry emotionally, but that intent is, there's no intent at all actually, not even any clear intent. It's just habitual maybe.
But the prayer is happening.
Prayer is happening. It's okay.
Let's go to ATM.
Namaste, Ananta-ji.
Namaste.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Yeah.
Yes. So I just felt now to share something which is troubling me since this morning. I received a video of from a friend about a man who just wrote a book on 100 points in the Islam, where he proves that the surahs and the text itself of the Quran, where he proves that it is not compatible with integration, with tolerance, and with where hatred is, so to say. He doesn't mention hatred, but he says, and he quotes he didn't quote them, but he gave the places and everything. And he's a serious man. He's not a polemist or something like that. He just gave up this religion because he didn't feel well. He's from there. He didn't feel well anymore since quite a time, and it has become his main activity to be one of the very few ones in France and in Europe who dare to question um, um, the text. And he just says, for me it was quite convincing, otherwise I wouldn't be troubled, that the Quran is not questionable because it is coming from God and nobody questions it, and that there's on many points with men, women, the fact that non Muslims are promised to hell forever, and these such things he says that this is in the text at several points, at several places. So my question to you is how to deal with these things, because I'm sure I have not been looking because I have no Quran at home, and then I couldn't check, and I should listen and note all the places he says and look myself. But I trust him because he publishes the book, and he must be serious, and besides this, it is very courageous what he does, because in France it is a very strong religion, and growing, and he says the tendency is our politicians and the media are just not daring to face the things since many years, and this I feel I knew I felt myself. So it's the first time I'm facing this frontally, just directly,
Yeah.
and I see I'm very touched because I have many Muslim friends, and I always felt they were very. I loved them. Of course, I don't have the fundamentalists again as friends, but others. And so, how maybe because I know you have been reading so much, also the Quran and these things. How I know in the Christian religion too. I'm sorry, it's a bit long, but in the Christian religion too, there are many interpretations. Many things have been transformed, and but each the Quran is another story. I don't know well about this. How can such a such things be faced? Because I see in me how troubling it is. Because it is just actually it is saying someone like Muhammad could have been against somehow against love, and I don't find how to deal with it because I see the consequences in the population, and I see this in the Christian community too, and in other communities. I know it's in Buddhism. There are also tendencies, and this. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not right at the core of our practice, but I see how troubling it is, and I recall when Muji was attacked, and how when he had to speak to protect us from the attacks against him. So yeah, it's a broad subject, but maybe you'll find the. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's okay. Thank you for sharing. Let's see how to start. There's so many topics. Let's broaden it a bit, and then we can zero in on the particular question. So, let's say religion, spirituality, let's combine all of this as pathways to God. Pathways to God. We are looking for means to come to God. For this moment, let's combine the topics of religion and spirituality to mean that they are pathways to God. They lead to God, otherwise, they would not be religion, they would not be spirituality. Let's start that way. So, uh, let's apply this in our case first. Many times over the years, I've got this question that which is the right satsang for me, and how do I know? Can I come to you, and can I go to other teachers? What is it that I must do? Yeah? So I've always had this view that whatever in that moment, in that time that you spend in that activity, if it brings you closer to your heart, then that is satsang. Or you could be in front of the most famous spiritual teacher in the universe, and in the time spent with them you don't find yourself coming closer to God, then you're not in satsang. So let's apply that. There are many nuances to this, so maybe we'll take some time to go through. So what happens is that it's not that straightforward because Maya is a great trickster. It's a great trickster. So whenever, like we were talking about the mantras the other day, that the minute you start to settle deeply into something, then Maya comes with some distraction, some thoughts, some ideas, something else to try and pull you out. You see, and also to convince you that you're having deeper experiences of God's presence doing something else. And then again, that situation can repeat every time you start to deepen. So, so that can be very confusing because Maya can play like this. You see? So, what are we to do? We have to go really slowly, and truly take every step guided by the heart. Nothing from our intellect, nothing from our mind. Really slowly to go and be guided without making too many conclusions too fast. Be guided by the heart. Now, I'm not a great student of Islam. I would love to read more and more, but the little bit I have read, so I'll attempt to share based on that. In all religion, there are many things like my own religion where I was born into. Now I consider all religions to be mine, but the the religion where I was born into, for many years, I didn't want to follow Krishna because I felt like Krishna is unfair, he's unethical, he's done so many things which are wrong. So I cannot follow Krishna, I can follow only Ram. It's only when I grew up in maturity and started to deepen, I started to put my pride of understanding aside and said, what is the context? What is really going on? So, in all scriptures, we will find many things which we just can't fathom, can't get. So, in the same way with Christianity, you must fear God, for example. This notion doesn't immediately resonate. You may want to run from that idea. Who wants to be part of a fearful religion or hear things about a fearful religion? So, but then as I dug deeper, then I realized that we're talking about the audience of one, which is always with us, always the presence can be reassuring or fearful depending on what will we are following. So, and with many books, teachers, religions, I used to say, I don't agree with this, so I will not dive in deeper. Now it is that I don't agree with this, but I am foolish. So, what is the sage trying to say? Or what is the incarnation of God trying to express to us? What are the prophets trying to convey? So, for example, the story of Abraham and Isaac changed my life. It changed my life completely because it could not be met through any standard of ethics, morality, the right thing to do, universal good. There was no promise from God on any of those fronts. It's a sheer story of absolute faith and sacrifice just because God said so. You see, because God said, then Abraham followed, and that led to the birth of so much faith in the world. You see? So, what are we to do? You're absolutely right that things are so tough when they come in this way, and there are so many things that people are studying all the time, and there are pros and cons to everything being brought out constantly. So, what are we to do? We are to remember that our job or what we want is to live in God's presence, find God's presence, and to live in His presence. So we must be open. When we are open, there are many things we meet that we resonate with. They are fine. They help us deepen in our spiritual progress. There are many things that we don't agree with. We may strongly disagree with. You see, but when we mature, we know first that okay, I don't really know much. You see, I am a fool most of the time. So let me not put my lens on this. Let me not put my biases on this. Let me understand what Krishna is trying to tell us, what Ram is trying to tell us, what Jesus is trying to tell us, what Prophet Muhammad is trying to tell us. Let me say, because they are prophets, they are great ones, they are sages, they are the incarnations themselves. Who am I to compete in understanding with them? So let me get a sense of what is on offer before I put it aside. So then those contemplations can take many days. Some of you were in India when I was going through this whole process of meeting the story of Abraham, and that lasted many weeks and is still never ending actually. So in that way we use it to dig deep within ourselves, you see, and these contemplations, and in our life a few of these are more than enough. So then some the the ones where we get into this deep contemplation are the ones that we can't truly negate. Something in our heart keeps pulling us back into that story, that experience, and something in our mind, intellect just can't accept it, just can't accept it. So those are worthwhile to deepen in our contemplation. So if you're not resonating with something, like often I say in Satsang, somebody doesn't like something I've said, you see, so I will say, just tear it up, throw it aside. I've said so many other things, focus on those, you see. So then that can, if something we don't resonate with at all, just keep it aside for now. Just keep it aside for now, you see. So if then there is something which is troubling and we just can't resonate with, and we don't feel in our heart that there's any pathway to God over there, then we just keep it aside. But we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So we don't throw everything out just because we can't resonate with some of the things. And most likely my lack of resonance is because of my lack of understanding. That is what I'm learning to learn. I'm learning to learn this more and more as I'm getting older. And I'm coming around to so many of the things that I used to be against, and I'm noticing there's great beauty in them. You see? So what am I saying? The things that we love, very good. Use them to go deeper into your heart. Things that we don't resonate with, we may disagree with, but something is calling us to study them more deeply. There seems to be something under the surface of that. You see? Like, how could God do this, or how could God say this, or how could a sage or a prophet say this? You see? So those things can become very useful contemplation for us to go within. But if you find in the aftertaste of something that it is not resonating, we cannot agree with that, we cannot find any way to approach that or be with that, then it is just best to just keep it aside. You see? So in that way, all of us create our own religion, our own spirituality. You see? So I don't feel like we should live in the constructs of Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, you see, all of these religions. I don't feel like we should live in the construct of that, which doesn't mean throw everything away. Which only means that create your own religion based on whatever you're getting from all sides, you see, and what helps you, what resonates in your heart, and what brings you deeper in God's light, in God's presence. So create your own spirituality, create your own religion. You see? So we don't need to have the labels of Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism. We just have these holy sages, prophets, books, scriptures, and all religion should be open to everyone. Whichever pulls us in, we must imbibe deeply in our heart and learn from there and and use those as tools to bring us to God's presence. So I want to say, and I'm not at all trying to be controversial, I'm just saying that we must throw away all the labels and take that which is most helpful to us for the moment. And then, as we stay with that which is most helpful to us in the moment, then the Atma, the Holy Spirit, God's light, it blesses us and shows us the next step to take. The next step to take. So, if you're finding things that you're just not able to meet or resonate with, just keep them aside for now. You see, but don't say this religion, this religion, this religion. Let's be free from the names of religions. You see? Because these names of religions causing a lot of trouble in all places, including India. There's a lot of trouble that you're a Hindu, how can you say that? You're a Christian, how can you say that? You see? So on a work group where I was interacting with some people, uh, I just started sharing some things, and they said, "Oh, but so you're not a Hindu, you're a Christian. You basically just, and these Christians, they're everywhere converting people. There are meetings everywhere. It's all over, it's just everywhere." So I said, "Where are they? I want to meet these Christians who are everywhere, So, but then I said that really I don't uh, like to label myself in these ways. Anything that brings us to God is my religion. And anything that seems to create a distance, make me mental, make me egoic, make me proud, it takes us away from God and therefore is not my religion. You see? And then if everyone started to live like this, you see, then it would be so beautiful because there's so much of this like false pride, bravado, all this kind of nonsense which religion is being used for, whereas actually it is meant to be used to bring us to God. So let's forget about the names. Let's say that everything is about God, and what brings us to God we will dive into, and there are many things in all religions, all paths, which we may not be able to resonate with at the moment. So let's keep that aside. We don't have to accept everything. You see, like in a relationship, there are always some things which you like and always some things which you don't like. So if you keep waiting for that 100% that everything about this person I have to like, then we can never have a relationship. You see, even like if you have that expectation of a master, say everything about him or her I have to like, you see, then we can never find a true, find a path to God because our intellect just blocks us in the way. So focus on that which we do like, focus on the messages of love, of peace, of deepening in God, of prayer, of gratitude, and these are to be found in all religions, and we can find them. So don't make a position that I can accept or I can't accept. I mean, who are we anyway to accept or not accept? So just say that as with everything, there are some things which I resonate with and some things which I just can't resonate with. You see? And focus on that which we can resonate with and pray to God that if you're if there are blind spots, then may those blind spots be taken away, be healed by His grace. That's what I feel my advice would be.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I was already feeling that the fact is we are um, being taken hostage of a time where spirituality is actually kind of taboo, and so there is only religion, and so the fact that we can feel before and beyond the mind is totally ignored. And so I feel to, I felt being taken a hostage of this mentality. And I'm happy I brought this because, in fact, we are daily taken hostage by by superficiality and the mind. So when it is a kind of mind attack, which was coming more from outside than usually, but actually it just highlights the weaknesses of the actual contemplation, actual spirituality. Thank you, thank you.
Very, very
Thank
good. And I'm so happy we had this conversation. Um, you see, these boundaries are very, very fragile, are very brittle actually. They don't really belong in our life. Like I've been saying to some of you that what is the boundary? Does one who comes to Atma, is that one different from the one who comes to the Holy Spirit? Or the Atma and Holy Spirit are different because one is in Sanskrit and one is in English? Or one who comes to the Noor of Allah, that one is different from the one who comes to the Atma? You see, so inside us it's all the same. God's light is the same for all of us. Just that now all the cultures are deeply getting together in this way with geographical boundaries, with internet happening. We have access to so much information. So let's use all of this technology to just see that at the root of all of it, it is talking about God, and God is met through His presence in our heart, and that presence can be met through the process of prayer, through the process of inquiry, gratitude, love, peace. And there is no religion in the world for which at least this aspect is not common. At the center of it, is this. Around it, interpretations, translations, uh, maybe misunderstandings, all of those things can surround it. But the root of it, the core of any religion has to have this, otherwise it's not a religion at all. You see? So there's enough in every religion for us to deepen in our love for God, in our sadhana, in the tools available for us to be with God. So in that way it makes every religion worth our reverence, worth our bowing down to. But and we don't have to worry so much about that, those parts which we don't yet understand. And if there are things which are actually not acceptable over there, really it's not our business. We just have to focus on finding and being with God. The rest is for God to take care of, and He will take care of everything. So
Thank you.
very good. And I want to say to all of us, and especially my Indian brothers and sisters, that we must not get involved in any sort of. I know there's a lot of hatred in India today. There's a lot of uh, things being shared because social media gives everybody a sandbox to stand on. So there's a lot of bigotry, a lot of hate that is being spread. But we must be the light which brings love and peace and understanding and brotherhood in all our lives. We must not get involved in any pride about our religion. There's no room for pride. If you look at Sri Ram, if you look at Hanuman, Lakshman, Sita, Bharat, if you look at all their lives, who was proud among them? In fact, the whole battle was against the pride of Ravan. So, do you feel like we can do a good uh, following, we can be good Hindus if we become proud just because we call ourselves a label? Let's not fall into those things. We must increase in our love, deepen in our sense of kindness, compassion.
I feel something also appears strongly to me is when I say I feel being taken hostage, it's because we are having now elections here, and so the right, the extreme right is coming, so to say. I don't know how it will end, but anyway, the emotional aspect of it is strong, because we are facing uh, polemics. Actually, it's only polemics, and I'm just shown that we cannot fight on that level at all. And if we just have the idea of trying, we're already lost, because we cannot convince the mind of what is before the mind. So this is really what I have to face in this situation. Uh, the, the, the this will always happen, and we cannot stop this. We even the wisest sage will not go on that level to confront. Uh, Maybe when somebody who is totally detached can have the clarity, but as soon as there's a little bit of emotion, we're lost. We will fall. We will fall because we will want to convince, and that is already there. We're already gone. That's what I see.
Very good, very good, very
And it's hard. It is hard to admit. It's hard to admit, because when we love some beings, and we see they are full of resentment or anger against the community, it's very painful.
good. Yes,
Yes. So
very good.
I mean, it is very. Who can avoid to go through these states when the you close ones or loved ones are touched by arguments, and
Yeah,
we can maybe we this can be a help to see what the great ones have been going through when they had to face the hatred and they don't know what they do.
exactly.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Hello.
Hello, my dear.
Oh, Father. Oh, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
When it rains, it pours. Yeah. Oh. Mm. You know, it's funny. Like in this kind of situations, I feel like in my experience, like a lot of things, I don't know if they dropped for now or, but like it seems like so unimportant, and everything is more become like, 'cause there's, of course there's, oh my god, sorry, it seems like there's nowhere to turn, so the only place to turn left is God, you know. So yeah.
It's very good. That's very good. If we can use the challenges, adversities of life to turn inwards to God, that's very good, because many times in the world, what happens is that when these things come, it seems like it's all just darkness, there is no solution, there is no way out. Because we take the appearance of the world to be the only reality. But if we can use these as opportunities to find the greater reality, the greater life, that's very good. So we may say, okay, I have no option, so I have to turn to God. Then let's all start to turn to God, especially when we have options. If we learn to turn to God when we have a lot of options.
Yeah, it seems like there is more room to play around, you know, and oh, a little bit this, oh, this is, I don't like this, oh, I don't understand that, and now there's no choice. Just like no choice.
Yeah. Now remember that
You're on your knees eternally and externally, and that's it.
when the choices do reappear, you see, remember to not use them.
Ah,
You see? Because this happens cyclically, it's up and down. You see? We don't have moves, so we turn to God, and then God in His grace returns our moves to us, and then we return out from God. So we must not do that. The great Indian sage Kabir ji said, दुख में सिमरन सब करे सुख में करे ना कोई सुख में सिमरन जो करे तो दुख काहे को होए, which means that everyone turns to God when they are truly suffering, when they are truly in misery. But if we were to turn to Him when we are not in misery, then there is no reason for that misery to come, for that suffering to happen. So if we make our home in His light, then we don't leave heaven, we stay with Him. Even though outwardly things may seem like very hellish, but our inner climate, our inner place doesn't become trouble, it doesn't become contaminated with misery.
but then I was like as well wondering one thing, because in this kind of situations, like the mind would say that you have to do this. You know, there's a lot of things you can do or not do, but for example, sometimes it's just nothing comes out, and it's just being in silence, and then it's but it's not a solution. Like why? I don't know. Like you need, I don't know. it seems like in this kind of situations that you need to do something, and being in silence, in peace with God is something a bit as well, like maybe wrong in this kind of situation. In any other situation, it's fine. No, I mean when some challenges come up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Little bit
it
wrong.
seems like, oh,
Did you say it seemed like a little bit wrong? I didn't get that one word. What
no, from the mind's point of view, as I
Yeah,
understand,
very
because
wrong.
it's like, why are you sitting there in peace when actually everything around you is just like falling apart?
Exactly.
And
How
and
dare
I'm
you?
just like, so it's the mind, right?
Of course, my dear.
I don't know, because
It can never go wrong if you are with God. That can never be the wrong choice to make.
yeah, because if it's coming naturally, like, okay.
In all situations, no matter what the condition is, what is happening to the world, what is happening to the body, what is happening to the mind, what is happening to our emotions, in all situations, being with God is the best choice.
Yes, but like in the world, I don't think we used to behave like that, you know?
Yeah,
Because
we were just
it's
talking
very
about
new and
before we started the broadcast. One said, Father, is it going to be because I have my oscillations? So then people around us will think we are pretty crazy. So I said, yes, they will. They will. It's fine. We cannot leave God because of what people think of us. Or we cannot conform to the way of suffering, the way of selfishness that the world is propagating to all of us, because that is the right thing to do according to the world. So be with the Atma Jyoti. Be with that light of Atma within, come what may.
it's easier said than done, but yeah.
Of course the mind will say that, it always says like that. And it is easier said than done. And I wish it was as easy done as said in my case also. There are times where Maya is compelling and doesn't seem easy. But that is why we have to fight. We have to fight and we have to not give up. It's not easy. It's simple, but not easy. Simple in the sense the choice is simple, but it's not easy. What we have to do is clear for all of us, I feel, except those who are maybe completely new to Satsang. But to do it moment to moment, day after day, week after week, month after month, is not going to be easy because Maya has many tricks and traps for us. Especially when it starts to feel easy, that is when we are usually being set up for a big trap. Because we start to become complacent. But now, when it's not feeling easy, I'm not so worried actually. When your kids report that it's not seeming so easy, that means you're meeting the problem head on. But when you're just feeling like, oh, it's all good, it's all fine, it's easy, I just have to just inquire, I just have to be with God, it all seems so easy, then I start to smell around a little bit and see what's going on. See, because the mind also loves to make these positions. It loves the enlightened position. if you're not meeting the push-pull between Maya and the heart, then either you should be sitting on this chair and I'd love to sit at your feet, or you're fooling yourself somewhere. So, how many of us can say that in the last 1 year or last 6 months, we've not had this push-pull of Maya at all? It's just many of us have had many cycles of ups and downs. One child says, "Dear Anantaji, I found that in my thoughts there is many times some kind of identity hidden, like thoughts of a mother or someone who is discontent. Is this true for all thoughts? Are all thoughts containing an identity?" Yeah. All of them are offering an identity. That's why you remembered. I remember you once said something like that, the coconut is green. Because many times if it is just the coconut is green, then that is the build-up thought, the setup thought. And the next thought says what? I don't like green coconut, so I love green coconut. The water in the green coconuts is very sweet, so I love that. Something is waiting to be, for us to be trapped in that. Just like the lawyer in a courtroom is waiting for the opposition to just slip up with one thing, and then they will catch on to that and build the whole case of individuality or personhood based on that. The good news is that we don't need guidance from the mind, because as we learn to let go of this false teacher in our head, the true teacher starts revealing themselves more and more, and we are never left in the lurch. We are never left without guidance. We are never left without reassurance. It just needs that little bit of courage to say, no, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. Okay, let's go to Bodhi. Today is becoming Friday Satsang, and Friday can be Monday Satsang.
Can you hear me, Father?
Yes, my dear, I can.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm on the street.
It's all right.
Thank you. There's a train passing. I just wanted to come up to say, express the gratitude, really. Because I read Job,
Yes.
and I must say that it was a slightly strange reading, because as I went like through 3/4 of that, I didn't understand much. It just was not soaking in.
Yeah.
But at the end, in last two, I don't know, numbers, it's really precious, and I might read it again, because there are some answers to, like, it's opening up something. So I'm very grateful for that. And also, I'm sorry I am not able to remember the name of the scriptures we are reading. The two Siddhas Saji, Ramchatari. Sorry, even though I am not familiar with Ramayana and even with the culture, I must just to give some maybe feedback on that. It's such a rare diamond, this reading, because I guess that English translation is very good, but it can't compare to original language, of course. But there are still these beautiful nuances there, and even if it's I don't know, like it teaches me so much already somehow on a hard level. And for that, I'm very grateful to you and the Sangha and whoever inspired you. I don't know if I may say that. You know, I was just having the picture of the sage who came to Kendra for a few times, who was sitting there with you. I don't remember his name, and I don't even know who he is, but there is such deep peace.
Anandaji. Anandaji, the singing one.
Yeah, he was with some female disciple there.
Yes, maybe.
So there is it just appeared, you know, when I was like, I don't want to speak too much. I just wanted to tell you that it doesn't matter what religion, what gender, where we are, whatever, that the truth is shining so bright here from this old scripture, and I'm just so grateful for everybody who helped to preserve this and bring it these days, because we need it more than ever before, and the Bible as well. And I just, if I may, you know, with you, I'm just reading Matthew as well. But there is a beautiful connection with Matthew, of course.
Matthew.
And I just remembered while watching The Chosen that I actually was baptized as a child and in total atheistic family. And it was only my grandmother who prayed, and he took me to pilgrimage. And then for years, I actually chose Buddhism because I didn't like the priests and the present, or I haven't met a real priest who lived that in heart. Let's put it this way. It's not like, yeah, no offense to anybody. And also I realized that I went to Israel when all our family got divorced within 3 years or 3 marriages. But father, I totally forgot about that for over a decade. And thank you for bringing me back. And if there is any meaning in that, it might be unfold in the heart. But all I want is to learn more and more about the humility and true life living in God, no matter what shape it takes. Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you for listening.
Very good.
Yeah.
I was going to ask someone to write to you, but I'm happy you came yourself.
You
Yeah.
to me? Okay.
Yeah.
Father, I've been struggling so much, Father.
Yeah. To struggle and to return to God is not any shame. To struggle and return is not any shame.
Now I feel like as if I don't have oxygen. I feel like it's like that. I'm suffocated completely.
Yeah, yeah. But as you return, you start to breathe more and more. I'm very happy in a way that we get used to this new way of life, the way of the heart, where for a while it can seem like Maya can grab us, and it can seem like it is fun actually. It seems just fine. In fact, many times it seems like a relief. We were just talking about it the other day. That sometimes what happens is, for some of you in Sangha, some friends come and talk to you, or somebody, or you watch a movie, something happens, and you feel like, let me just live my life. What is the need for all of this spirituality and struggle? He himself is saying it's not easy. So let me live like everyone else. What's the point of all this difficulty? Stay with God, don't get caught up in Maya, be vigilant, return, return, return. If you fall, then get up, don't mope. All this can seem very difficult. So when we first hear, oh, no need to inquire, I am that, no need to inquire. What will happen? Anyway, I'm not the doer. You see? So you can get trapped in this kind of like conceptual spirituality, and for a few days, hopefully days, but sometimes weeks, months, or years, it may actually seem like a relief. It can seem like a relief, but actually, what happens is that if you remain observant, you will see that your mental state, your emotional state, your overall way of life starts to deteriorate slowly, slowly, slowly. So, and may grace bring everyone back to God in that way, that they notice for themselves. But a life without God's light, without God's presence, is a life without oxygen. Is a life without oxygen, and because we are caught in Maya, and it seems like it is effortful to return, like we were saying earlier with Atma Jyoti also, that it doesn't seem easy, and many times to just leave it all seems like the easier option. You see? And then we say, no, I'm just not cut out for this. So many children, when they are angry with me, or have tantrums, or have these mind attacks, they say, I'm not cut out for this. I just can't do this anymore. You see? So I'm used to hearing that now quite often, but it's just worthwhile evaluating option 2. Like, you're not cut out for this, but then what are you cut out for? What is option 2?
There's no option to.
There is no option 2, because once you've got the taste of being something other than the body, being other than the mind, then to come back deeply into that identification just as a body-mind doesn't feel satisfying at all. So we may flutter about, but we don't actually enjoy any other option. Hopefully, if it is grace, because Maya is strong, she can pull us back fully also. But usually, by grace, once we've tasted the spirit, once we've tasted the perfume, even the byproducts of the spirit within us, to return to just being worldly is not easy. That's why many times also the tantrum is, I was better off before coming to satsang. I could just live normally, like everyone else. They are just fine. You see? So there are many shades to these withdrawal symptoms from Maya. You see? But you will once you go through those withdrawal symptoms fully, you will never want to go back into the addiction to the false. Yeah? Not that the false will stop trying, but really, hopefully by grace, you will be settled deeply in your heart.
Father, I feel completely like unable to, I don't know how to say it, like unworthy or incapable to just, I'm very lost. I feel completely lost, Father. And I don't know how to, it's like I have to, I don't, like just beginner completely, like to start again, over again. And I don't know, like, not even where to start.
So Friday evening when I had this sense that I haven't seen you for a bit, how long had it been? Because sometimes I'm just silly about this. I may have seen you on Wednesday and had this feeling that I haven't seen you for a bit.
Like for about 6 weeks since I'm traveling, I haven't been able to connect, but everything was like.
Okay, so the good news is that you felt lost, you're feeling like a beginner, it's all seems to be so much time lost. But what is that which got you back to satsang today?
Suffering, basically.
Yeah. You see, but what happens many times is when we suffer, then we want to keep trying so that we feel that ultimately I'll still make this work. You see, many times, like the effect of suffering to back to God is or back to spirituality is not often quick. You see, because once we've got pride, so once we invested in something, we want to try and make it work. We want to make it happen. So, in spite of whatever distractions were there, and those are not important, but whatever was there, and then suffering came, then something still reminded you that the way out of the suffering, the escape hatch is satsang. So why I'm telling you this is, if you can find that within your heart, you see, then that is the voice of God, that is the one reminding you to come back home. And you can, when things are seeming very unstable, you can latch on to that longing in your heart, that calling from the heart, and it will reassure you, it will give you rest, it will give you peace, and it will get you to return.
I feel that calling and I feel that yearning in my heart very deep. It's very deep, but at the same time, there's this voice that I also believe in, that I'm not worthy of God, or that God doesn't love me, or all these things that, and I believe in that, and it's very strong, and I don't know, sometimes I feel it's stronger than my own love for God.
It's a very tricky topic. It's a very tricky topic. First thing I want to tell you is that if God did not love you, if you are not worthy of God, then He is the giver of life. Then you would not have life. So if you're alive means He's considering you worthy of life. So don't fall for that mind attack. The second thing is that it is very important to be repentant. You see, it's very important to be repentant, but offer that repentance in your heart. So when you say that I am sorry and I was foolish and I went my own way instead of following your will, there are two ways to deal with this. You see, one way is to offer it to God and say, Father, I'm sorry, this is my foolishness and I went with my own ideas instead of waiting for your will to guide me, and I bring it to you and I'm all yours. I belong to you. So do with me as you please, do with it as you please. The second way is to be repentant in our heads. Okay? And when we become repentant in our heads, then it becomes a vicious circle. You see, because that leads to more guilt, and that guilt makes us feel worse, then we give that further in our head. So that brings us to a point of despair, it brings us to a point of desperation, it brings us to a point where we're still actually fighting God without realizing it. Because we're still relying on the conclusions that we give to the mind, and we're offering our ideas about ourselves to the mind over and over. The way out of it is to really bring it to the temple in your heart, bring it to your heart altar, and then that repentance will be transformed into love, will be transformed into peace, into light. See? So when the sages have said, and I played it at the end of Satsang the other day, that open me to the gates of repentance. It can sound like a very strange prayer to make. No? Why would anyone pray instead of love, light, peace, joy, saying, open me to the gates, open the gates of repentance to me? Who will make that kind of prayer? It's very beautiful actually, because in our pride we can never see repentance, we can never be repentant. And the only ones who can be unrepentant are the ones who are completely following God's will. You see, but there's nobody like that. So we are separating ourselves from God, all of us at some point or the other. So that separation, that call towards separation and distance from God, we must be repentant over. But because if we are not repentant, we will keep doing that, we keep repeating those mistakes. You see? But that repentance must be brought to God and not to the mind. It should not become a thought circle, a thought activity. You see, some thoughts are making you feel low, bring them to your heart and become empty in the mind. You see? So that repentance makes us humble. You see, otherwise we never bow down in front of God. So use that to bow down in your heart to God's light and offer that to Him and allow His light, His love to take care of all this for you. But don't get caught, because this is the mind's two-punch, remember? One punch makes you distracted, and the two-punch keeps you caught up in that guilt and unworthiness and all of that. So then you feel like you can never leave. That's why with all your kids, I keep telling you, don't get into any sort of despair. It's good to notice. It's good to notice where you feel, and good to fight against Maya, to not fall for its tricks, to stay with God's light. But don't fall for the two-punch of the mind, because that is the tricky one which will keep us in that loop. So whatever you notice about yourself, whatever you're finding, it's all a learning process. It's all a maturing process. So whatever you're discovering about yourself, bring it in humility to God's light.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pride. I have felt it. This sense of I'm not worthy of you. It's pride. It's pride. But it's like I cannot find a way out of it. It's like, but it's what you're saying. It's to put it all, like, put it in my heart.
So the simplest way out of it is return to your prayer all the time. Because I promise you in the 6 weeks you have not prayed all the time. You see, this much is clear by looking at you that it's not possible if you really prayed all the time to get into this kind of situation and this kind of state. You see, even taking His name mechanically to remember God will avoid these kind of things from coming. You see? So that is one simple way It'll seem very difficult, of course, to return to the prayer life. And whatever for all of you, whatever the prayer life is, whether it is inquiry, open and empty prayer, but just return to focus on God all the time, even if it feels like lip service to begin with. Allow that to deepen. Even if you feel like a beginner, it's not bad actually to feel like a beginner, because we are humble as beginners. So return to the prayer. Start with the simple things. Now, as you wake up, don't leave your bed without coming to God's presence. Just return to the basics, the basic foundations of your spiritual life, and build again from there. God is fully merciful, and have full faith that He will take care.
I've been like trying, trying, and but during the day, many hours, many hours, I just forget. Somehow it comes at some point, but it's very short moments, very short moments. The rest is craziness. And
Yeah. So let's try to reverse that situation, even when it feels very difficult. So restart your sadhana, your prayer life, your inquiry, everything. All of this will help you. So now you've been away 6 weeks. I want to see you 6 weeks at least.
yes, yes, yes.
Very
This
good.
week I come back to Colombia and hopefully being at home, it's gonna be easier. And I want to go to Bangalore, Father.
You're always welcome. It's your home. You can come. Very good. Bless you. Okay, let's go to Kalin and Karunamai. He had his hand up last time also, but we had to send Charitra. Hello.
Hello. I just wanted to say hello. I heard my mother speaking a few days ago, a few satsangs ago in the room, and I wanted to also say hello, and I came a bit late. And yeah.
Very good. Very good. All my love, all my blessing. Good.
Thank you.
Did you both try what suggestions we had for you?
I didn't. Oh, those are. Oh yeah, we did.
That part we did. I'm doing. I
I
hope.
am also doing.
Yeah, he's trying hard. And then your part, tell father, because you were supposed to use the devices half time for development and half time for pleasure. How is it going?
Some deal like that we made. I don't know what
Um,
we concluded on, but it's all right. If you're fine, it's okay.
I'm fine.
But don't wait to get in trouble again before you start that. Yes?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the message of today's satsang. That when things seem good, then we must really keep turning to God so that things don't have to seem bad. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
And father,
Yes, yes.
um, I think I have to expose some pride and arrogance as well. Now, in particular, the pride has come There was a sister in it, and normally I don't act, I just
See
take.
that one? See that? See
The,
that?
the,
The pride has come after that?
the pride has come, there was a sister in it, and I offered
Was
some
a
guy,
sister?
a sister,
Ah,
a Sangha sister
yeah.
in need.
In need, I see.
Yeah, and I offered some guidance to her, and it was really beautiful. Like there was a lot of grace coming into that for both of us. And I was very silent, but then there was this, after that, there was a bit of joy and excitement about that. And I feel that was very personal. And it also probably, I don't know, my sadhana probably dropped in power or strength, not power. And also I am starting to get some night visitors, some energies playing. So I'm seeking your blessing and grace to see that it's always him, that acts
Yes.
even
Very
this,
yes, yes.
and not to have any arrogance and any sense of independence um, or comfort, even comfort, that I'm doing well, or yeah, I just offer everything up, and
A teacher said once that the stage lights are poisonous. The stage lights are poisonous. So, what can happen, and it happens so often in the world, is that what can truly start as service to God, then the poison of the pedestal, the poison of the stage lights can start to infect us. And I'm very happy you spotted that in this small interaction that you had, that even in this we can start to take ourselves to be special, take ourselves to be helpful, take ourselves to be something. Instead of giving credit and bowing down to God, saying, "Thank you for moving my mouth, thank you for allowing grace to flow." You see? And maybe lip service towards that can happen as well. But many times we can just get caught up in this side sort of pride. So I'm very happy you spotted that. And may you keep
thank you.
living in His light and whatever comes to share from there, but not for a moment starting to believe that it is something to do with you. It is. Was it last time? Was it in Satsang here where we were talking about? It's like the screwdriver starting to pretend, saying that I'm doing such a good job making all these beautiful things, forgetting that it is just an instrument.
Yeah. During the sharing, I didn't feel any pride or anything, and I was very grateful for that grace. And that's how the sharing ended, actually. Thank you, Father, for your grace. And that after the mind kicked in and the memory of it, started to, oh, and yeah.
Yes.
I also want to share that I read a bit of Santa Teresa de Avila from her chapter, and uh, I just opened, I think, Kindle opens to wherever you. I know at some point I went a bit too far and I couldn't really grasp what she was saying, so I wanted to go back. But then when I started to read, it was it was much clearer what she was saying, and I'm very happy for that and grateful, and thank you for that.
Very good. I'm very happy. Very
And also to remind Paula that we are a Sangha, and if she struggles, we are a phone away. To Paula, like, and to anyone, if we struggle, we shouldn't feel alone, and we are just a phone away to each other.
Just a phone call away, yes.
Yeah, so
I like the Bangalore idea.
me too.
Yeah. All of you. All of
Me too.
you. Yes,
For
all of you. All of you, maybe.
yeah, for these little ones.
Definitely.
Thank you for holding us.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go to Samia.
Hello, Father.
Hello, my dear.
Not much to say, Father. Just can you now? No? Can you hear
It's
me
breaking. Yeah, a little bit. But,
now?
yes, yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Um, yeah, nothing to say. I'm just so grateful, Father. Just whatever happened to me. Sometimes I'm a little distracted on the surface. It's completely no, it's not for me to say it's okay, but of course I'm asking for help also because sometimes you are mixing with worldly energies and it can stay with you and it caused me to also spend so much time in social media and not with sadhana or with God. But nevertheless, like something deep within is just, I don't know, whenever I turn to God, just it's so completely here and it just touches my heart so much that he's always here and it's just touching me so much. The deepening of myself, actually, the deepening of the love that he has granted to me and gifted to me is just kind of shock. I don't know. And yeah, just thank you for that. I don't know what happened to me, Father.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
See, you take a few steps towards him, one step towards him. This is so much that you took this commitment to remove the presence of anger from your life.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did not do it, Father. Like when you offered that, when you offered that, Father, I didn't accept in my heart. No, not in my heart, but in my mind, I was like, I didn't accept it. But just one day, I hear your voice within me because I moved with anger. Actually, before that, I hear you like, don't get angry. And I didn't accept this voice. Like, no, I need to express myself. But the result was just so bitter, Father. And I was like, why I hurt someone? It just not does not worth it. And it was too. It was. It was too big.
I'm listening.
The,
It was
okay.
too
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it was with my mother, father, and I expressed my anger. And first time I feel so bitter about it. And yeah, I heard your voice, and that day actually I come to accept, like, yeah, don't get angry with someone. And first time in my life, maybe I really, I okay, after end of the day, I don't know if there is need to tell the story, but first time I have such a truthful conversation with my mother when I apologize from her. Such a truthful and understanding and loving conversation.
Very good. It's very I'm very happy because these things for me are very valuable. Very valuable.
Yeah.
Rather than any big miracles you could talk about and some of those things, just that God's grace blessed you and you didn't get angry even that one time, but you've committed now to remove this from your life, and all of us have taken that commitment. So I'm very happy to hear this.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. Thank you, Father. You
even
put
this,
that
even
seed with
this,
it.
yeah, bless you, bless you. Even this can change our entire life, and you start to see subtler and subtler resistance as a form of anger. This irritation, and you all know that I'm working on my irritation. And in the last few weeks, I've seen it becoming subtler, subtler, subtler. So it's very good to be free of these things from our life.
Actually, I have a question, Father, related with that. After like my anger is removed, I don't feel to speak actually with anyone because like I don't feel to like I don't know, I don't feel to speak because sorry, I cannot find the words. So I'm a little confused, maybe like no, I'm not confused. I don't know now. Sometimes just these thoughts come. Maybe I should also speak because I see people come with their beliefs and no, it's okay. Sorry, Father.
No, this is very good. This is very good. These are the signs of introspection, contemplation, where we can notice ourselves and we can actually see everything from a deeper place. All my children are maturing too fast. I'm going to be
Thanks to
talking
you.
soon.
To you, I said.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
without
I don't know what happened to us, Father. It's just happening by your grace. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Love you, Father.
Love you, love you. Yes. Bangalore retreat. We always in retreat only. Don't have to wait for retreat. Okay. Are we almost on time? Let's go to Yannick.
Oh, I'm like, I'm so. Can you hear me, Ananta-ji? Hello.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I'm like just a little bit struggling today. Today, my like frustration is because my headset is not working, and I have to like lean in to the screen and like make some funny poses. But I just wanted to say hello.
Hello.
And generally I want to say thank you so much. And like last days, I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm happy. I'm struggling. I'm starting to love God more and more, and it's I don't know how to say, but I would ask to maybe help me, because I remember you were mentioning sometimes about the smartness, and I didn't understand before what that could mean. This smartness, and I know that I pray like fall to this, like sometimes everything is good and suddenly I want to rush into, like, especially when I yesterday I met a friend. He made a remark which was not that bad. He actually said, like, I noticed that you are actually a little bit lazy, like, because he's working and I'm not. since a couple of days, I've lost. I was working as a driver in Domino's,
I see.
and I lost the job because I didn't bring some from the physician some papers. They let me go. They sacked me,
Oh, I see.
and like just I don't know. Can you tell me what I should do? Like I can do any. I mean, not in a sense anything, but I can go to work. But in the same time, I want to be in satsang and like can you help me like to find a job that will also be like help me to be in satsang, or if it's necessary, I don't know.
Yes, yeah. So I pray for you. Bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I was hearing your conversation with one of the people online, and I was reminded of my experience the 1 month I was in US, and it felt like I was in no man's land because, and actually it was one conversation with her that the unrest I was feeling came to the surface because I was having all sorts of fantastic experiences and yet they felt so dry. And I felt I've kind of turned away from God. So it's like I'm not able to find my way back to her. And I'm not getting any joy in the experiences. It's like I was so lost and like nowhere. Like I felt like kahin kuch to kahin mile, you know. And then in that conversation with her, like we kind of invoked Devi, and that was helpful. Like I felt I could connect with that feeling after 2.5 weeks. But it felt quite hard. Like, so when you were saying, you know, like there's no option to, and sometimes I end up being in that zone wherein I feel like I have no option. Like it feels like God's doors are closed and the world's doors are closed. Like there's nothing anywhere, and that's just that it was quite miserable. I was very miserable. I just wanted to share.
Thank you for sharing that. It's good to see this. It's very good to see this because then, see, remember always that he or she, like Devi, as you relate to her, is never the one to turn away. She has never left you. When you have been with her, she has not said, okay, time up. It's time to go now, enough. You see? She is always with you. So, and neither is there ever any reason for leaving God's presence and turning away and becoming fully involved with the world, because all things of the world can be handled sitting in our temple, sitting in our presence. So, and yet all of us do, including this one, to turn away, and we go with our own will, with our own ideas. We rush into things. You see? We don't wait for God to move us, for God to guide us. You see? And then it's also grace that you are not finding great satisfaction, joy in Maya, because then you may not that easily turn away. You may say, "This is fine," fine. So, but God's grace always moves in a merciful way. She also knows that God, and we can only presume, nobody can really speak for God, but one way to look at it is that God knows very well how easily or how not easily to make himself or herself available to you, to prevent arrogance, to prevent complacency, to prevent it just becoming like taken for granted. No? Yeah? So it's not usually like that, where like most of us, we take our biological parents for granted. Like mom is always there. No? Anytime you need her, you can call her. In fact, we don't take their calls. We are too busy. All of these things. So God knows that that is not the type of relationship that you need to build with her, with him. So, and thank you for reminding me. We went to a temple yesterday. Some of us who live close by. Yesterday, day before. No? So day before, and it just came to me to share like that. We've spoken about how the sanctum sanctorum is right in the center, and we noticed this yesterday also, the other day also, that usually they place God over there, and that place, like according to the mind, should be the best lit, the most decorated, all of that. But in the traditional temples, at least, it is a very dark place. It's a very dark, empty, just God is there. And because it is, I feel that it's a outer representation of how it is when we go within. For a lot of time, it can seem like it's just dark. So it also came to say here that what if the lights were to suddenly be switched off? So if the lights are suddenly switched off, then what happens is for a few minutes or for a long time, it may seem like you're not seeing anything. You see? But if we stay there, then you start to notice, you start to see. It is the same way with the heart temple. When we turn within and it seems dark, it seems like I don't find anything there, especially when we are talking about the unperceivable light, because many times you may have the byproducts in terms of perceivable prasad. You see? So this is the temple where the prasad will be given to you. You see, many times without even the darshan, true darshan, just in your faith that God is there. So we may have perceivable experiences, but to come to the unperceivable insight of the holy presence of God, the holy light of God within, you see, we have to be patient and allow our eyes to settle into that. We can't force it. You see, we can't say, no, I need to see right now, so I need to see in the dark immediately. There's no process by which we can force that to happen. But we have to be strong in our faith. And when it seems like the doors are closed, like you put it, that it seems like God's doors are closed, actually He's right there. But His revelation, His darshan, or her darshan will come when she knows that the time is right. So, but the more faithful we can be in this way to keep ourselves inward facing, in spite of what we may be finding or not, the better it will be.
I have noticed that challenge wherein when there's a lot going on around me, and I was consistently surrounded by people and family and traveling a lot, and it was so outwarding and very unsettling many times. And you said that you all visit a temple, and I've been actually sitting with a metaphor and with an image that came to me when you were having that conversation, that it felt like I was in a temple and there was something that enticed my attention, and I went looking for it, and then I lost my way. I didn't get what I was looking for because there was nothing, and then I couldn't find my way back to the temple. Bhatakna, like. So I feel I'm slowly finding my way back, but it feels like I've drifted away, and I've missed you, and I've missed the space, and but it feels like slowly finding my
Starting to get the
feedback.
perfume.
Yeah,
You start to get the incense
yeah,
sense, although
yeah,
it may not seem very palpable or tangible yet some reassurance comes in the heart that I'm coming back on track. It's not easy to put these things in words because it is just so intuitive, but it's very good to follow like that, because these subtle nudges from within, as we learn to follow, then we find that there's a great sensitivity in our inner space. There's a great number of things that we experience inwardly but very subtle. But when we are involved with the grossness of the world, then we don't notice that subtlety within ourselves. So the more we learn to just remain inward facing, even though engaged with the world, and yet something that stays inward facing, the more we get used to living in this way of the heart, way of the discipleship of the Atma within. I'm good. I'm very happy you came. I was going to ask about I want to say, is it illegal for Nidhi to come on any day except Monday?
There's another thing that I want to say, that I came home, and one of the first things that I wanted to do is just like clean my temple space, because it was
The
kind
physical
of
temple.
physical temple space in my house, and I was doing that and cleaning the photos and slab and all of that, and the murtis, and lighting the lamp, and chanting, and immediately I felt a connect with the Devi, and I actually got this feeling that it was me who drifted away. But again, the experience was so intense that sometimes I feel that my mind-body system gets overwhelmed with her experience, because it is a big experience. And then there is and then that also it's like something in me kind of goes away because it's so intense. So then there
The
is
mind
again,
becomes scared sometimes. Also, what happens is that will say, but that was too much now. But the mother always knows how much to feed her child.
yeah,
We can never take that call for her, and it's never going to be that you went to God, you went to Devi Ma, and she just gave you too much that you couldn't handle.
yeah,
Because who has determined those limits? Her only.
yeah,
All those come from her only. So we can feel comfortably, we can feel just completely comfortable being nurtured by her. There's no such thing as too much according to our standards, because all those standards are set by her.
yeah, and yet, this also that I'm saying is like an understanding that dawns in hindsight, because, and I don't know if something else happens, because I don't realize it happens at a very unconscious level, wherein there is a drifting away because it's been so much. And then I realize after 2-3 days, oh, like what happened to me? You know, it's so which is why that oscillation is a very consistent experience.
In a way, that is the story of all our lives. But it just the oscillation which seem like that seem to just settle more and more. But there is something in that too much or enough, you see, but that is in the sense of the prasad aspect of it, which I speak of, which is in the realm of the phenomenal experience, whether it is energetic, whether it is visually, whether it is something else. So all of those also, God knows the right amount of prasad to give us, the right amount of byproducts. But in terms of the pure light itself, there is no such thing as too much or too little. It is just the most pristine, the most innocent, the most beautiful holiness that we can experience, and it is so beyond being measurable or being very difficult to speak about it. So when you have these experiences, allow them to. Somebody said very beautifully, it's like a letter from home. So when you get a letter from home, so suppose you've been living away from home for a long time, then you get a letter, so you get the longing of visiting, wanting to go. So just look at your experiences as a letter from home and let that deepen your longing to stay with her in your heart.
Yeah, that's actually a very, very apt metaphor. It really feels like the letter from home, or like that call, ki, okay, come back, you know. Thank you.
Very good. In terms of how we are feeling and our experiences at a phenomenal level, there's always a ebb and flow. Like everything, it's never like consistently like a certain way. But in terms of our ability, our willingness at least to make the choice to look at the altar, even if it seems too dark to see anything, that ability we always have. It can never be inauspicious. It can never cause any harm for sure, but it's always the highest choice to make. No matter what is happening in the world, no matter what is happening in any aspect of our life, the highest is to turn to God, and to stay there. Welcome back.
Hi,
Hello.
Ananta-ji.
Hello, my dear.
If you need to start the chanting, please do. We can speak another time.
It's all right. It's all right. Go
Because
ahead.
I don't know how long it will take. It just I did not intend to speak. I was just listening, and then just the feeling came like I don't want to even think about another time, because I've done that with Guruji usually in satsang. I was feeling it and it felt truthful, like there was no real need to say anything. But then when he asked me to leave Sahaja, then I started to speak with him every time I could, because and it's also he was always inviting this attitude, like it's the last satsang. So a combination of these things made me raise the hand now, and it's okay to go on, or you
Yes,
feel
yes, please do. I
yeah?
want to hear.
Okay. Okay, so I want to open up one thing with you about you said something earlier that when you think that something is actually helping a lot, then it might be just Maya convincing you that the mind actually grabs it. So I've been also, you know, maybe that I followed Rupert for quite a long time alongside. I never had a feeling to choose between Rupert and Guruji or you or Eckhart or Adyashanti. I always felt Guruji is my master, and then Rupert and everyone else. It feels like a very trustworthy friend, the most trustworthy that I can. Like I feel also, and still it's God in another way. But I'd never had that inner conflict about the master or something.
Yes.
But I could see it's not so easy also to present it outside. It can outside seemingly it can seem a bit strange. So then, yeah, I didn't. Yeah. But another thing I wanted to say about this, Rupert has some yoga meditations.
I see. I not.
Which these are more, let's say, advanced in a way in his work because they start as awareness and they just explore objective experience. What is it made of? A bit similar, like you also sometimes explore impure perception. I heard you inviting few of these explorations. So these meditations in particular, they go very deep in the actual experience of the body and the world, the seeming world, what is actually here. And they're very, very powerful, at least for myself. With Guruji, I came quite clear to this inner recognition. I is awareness, and it's formless. There was no doubt about that at the level of the mind. But then and there's nothing missing in that recognition. But at some point, something was arising. Okay, but what is all of this? Like all of this that seems to be something.
Yeah.
So that that was not so much satisfied by following his pointing, at least at the time that I felt that. And then this way of exploring, I felt it was just somehow very much speaking to me, and in a way completing this exploring that slowly after deeply looking into anything in experience, especially sensation and perception, it becomes clear that there's only awareness is the you don't find anything else.
Yeah.
And now I'm speaking about it, but the direct experience is undoubtable. So that felt really like a big relief and almost like a merging of or a reunion of what was previously left a little bit like other than like okay neti. And then in this from the true experience that awareness is also everything that appears to be something, I could see the mind immediately coming and with a bit of like quite some arrogance about making comparisons. Yes, but why doesn't Guruji go enough into this and explore more like this? So I could see so much of this arrogance and something trying to put some type of conflict or some type of wedge in time, because also I could not speak so much with. I could speak with Sangha, but I feel I wanted to speak with you about this, but also because being in Sahaja, yeah, everything was not so easy, at least in my mind at that time. With Guruji, I didn't find the space also to speak, although I wanted. I went many times with the idea to bring this a bit out, and it didn't happen. It stayed more in, and it matured in some way by seeing that what I think is best, it's quite arrogant, making differences, but still I felt a need to, like, something is really important. When something is really important and you don't find the appropriate circumstances or to kind of share it, you feel there's something out of place also, like a natural that whatever you love, you want to be able to share with somebody or speak.
It's very good in a way that I'm happy that you shared all this, because there's so many things can be said about this, but let's see how we start. So anything that there's so much love for God, there's so much reverence, and at the moment at least it seems very clear that this life is only to serve Him as deeply as I can, and without falling into the traps of the mind and Maya. So I'm so deeply appreciative of anything that, any instrument of the Atma within, which points us to God's presence, His light, the ability for us to live in that discipleship of the true Guru, the true Atma within, which is the Sadguru, of which everyone is just an instrument. There is no such license, or there is no such restriction that the Atma only has to speak with this instrument or through that instrument or not this instrument. Many times it is advised not to get confused by listening to too many different expressions, because our intellect doesn't have the ability to make sense of all that is being shared, and many times when we are deepening, it just distracts us with too many things. But I feel like in this life, for example, every day I'm listening to something new. Every day something new is brought to my attention by the Atma within, and it doesn't have to be an inner communication. It can be something that I see on YouTube or a book that I recently read. So I'm constantly being brought to things which help me deepen in my relationship with God, in my discipleship of the Atma, the true Sadguru presence within. So I'm very happy that so many beautiful things are being provided to those who are truly looking for God in so many different expressions, and may God bless them with so much more power, more light, and may so many people listen to that which brings them truly to God. So anything that you find deepens you in your heart connection, that is satsang for me. It doesn't have to come from this mouth or any mouth. I feel like as long as you're not really confusing yourself too much, and sometimes even that is all right, to just be confused a bit, but bring all of that to your heart to contemplate deeper and to resolve it in the guidance of the Atma within. It's not necessarily always bad to be confused about things, and many things that many sages, many things that Ram, Krishna, Jesus, we were talking about it earlier in Satsang, I don't know if you heard, are not immediately, their essence or root is not immediately apparent. So it does end up confusing the intellect a bit. But the ability to just take it to your heart and to rest with it and to allow it to reveal itself is a skill that all of us should learn. So, so it's good. I'm not hearing anything that I have any trouble with in this report, and I'm happy you're hearing, or you're following, or you're learning something which is coming from a beautiful place, and may it lead you to so much more love, light, peace, depth, and insight. You see? So when I was younger, I used to feel like it is about coming to an insight or recognition and trying to make that undoubtable. You see?
Yeah.
I thought it is about that. More and more as I'm getting older with gray hair, I'm seeing that actually it is just how much can we just remain with him, and in his light all the insight is always available. Nobody comes to the Nirguna Brahman unless it is in the light, in the light of the Sadguru presence within. And that is why the Guru is called the bringer of light. And it is a unique light, because worldly light can shine light on perceivable things. The Guru light alone can bring light to that which is unperceivable. And the only Guru is the Atma within. All these outer bodies that we see, especially this one, is just an instrument, a weak, feeble instrument of that Atma. So the Atma can choose to speak to us through many mouths. It can be through some music that we heard, some singer singing a song, and we hear the voice of the Atma within. So we don't need to, just like I don't know if you were there in the beginning of Satsang, but we spoke about how we don't need to categorize religions and say Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, all of Jewish. We don't need to make these things. Everything that leads to God is true, and everything that takes us away from God's light and presence, we can discard or do away with. In the same way, we don't have to worry about which mouth is saying what. As long as in our heart we can sense God's perfume, we must follow, and that is how our spirituality will deepen as well.
Yes, Anantaji, and that's how I felt it in me, and that's how it was, to as much as the capacity was here. And let's say the problem was exactly where you say how much I stay then with the presence, with the recognition, not, and exactly this is not the recognition is not to make it perfect, because but it might be complete, but then how much you are living that each moment. And I could see so much, and like still there's so much gap between living that recognition and the recognition itself, and so much failing to represent that also in my being with Guruji, like always looking back to say, okay, so from the recognition, how would I be with Guruji? How would I behave? What would be my thoughts towards him? What would be my, and it's it's clearly the mind was in the opposite direction with that. So for that, I told him like I apologize and I keep repenting because of that. I don't know. By grace, it's gonna be less and less distance. Yeah. And that's why also I feel to spend time with you, because you have a very good nose for arrogance and for this, so I trust you fully on that. So
Well, I don't know about that, but I do have a, hopefully by God's grace, I'm spotting my arrogance more and more. So if that is helpful to all of you, that uh, that I'm able to see my foolishness and my stupidity and my arrogance every day, and if that sort of helps you to become open to looking at your own pride and to bring it out in the open
yeah,
without needing to hide it, then that way I feel like that in that way it may help. But in terms of the gap you spoke about, there is, my feeling is, and I don't know, but my feeling is that there is nobody who can say that there is no gap. There is nobody, no sage who has ever lived, the highest sages, all of them could never come to a point of saying that I have no pride left, or I have no ego left, or I have no sense of separation left. You see, and that is why it is important to allow that individuality to drown in his will, and to sacrifice moment to moment our individual will and to be in servitude to God. And that is why both jnana and bhakti make the fullness of a spiritual seeker. Like Bhagavan said, the two wings of the bird are jnana and bhakti, and the bird is the true life, the truly spiritual life. So on one end of that spiritual life is the recognition that I am that, the absolute reality. And on the other end, we have to still be open to see that the remnants of what remains of this me may seem very harmless and like ashes, but always have the power to reinvent themselves. You see, and that reinvention usually happens in the form of a spiritual ego. You see? And if we don't spot that, and we say, no, but I am truly nirguna, and no pride can ever get to me, there is no remnant of the me here, that is usually the invitation for trouble to come. So, but to recognize that openly and to say that, I see this gap, that is good maturity. Then we can work on that gap together, you see. You feel like, no, I've had the insight, I'm clear. I don't go to my will ever. I'm always following his will. And who is here left to inquire, or who's here left to pray? And if we get into those kind of conceptual traps, then we will stop growing, even though in our mind we'll believe that we are living the ultimate reality. So this life must be full of constant growth, constant recognition of when we rushed with the mind, when we fell for the mind, and to return back to the heart in humility and service to God.
This is the I recognize this is the biggest enemy, let's say, the spiritual ego, and if I get into that to a point that I allow everyone to come and hit me on the head with something.
Yes,
If that's
a good way to put it.
and it does happen. I mean, life does send that. And just to say, because you were saying, I don't know if you were saying you don't know if you are helping with the humility, and you are very much. I just want to say that. Thank you.
May God's grace always bless us all, and may we be open to being shown, even if it is in the harshest ways, where our pride still hides. And even if that revelation hurts in the moment, may we remember that it is such grace that prevents us from turning towards the Ravan that lives within us, and to turn again and again to Ram's light, away from the egotism, away from the selfishness of the Ravan tendency that is alive in us.